everyone, it's Sauce, and today we are having a good old-fashioned vent sesh. I obviously love backpacking for so many reasons. There are a lot of things about backpacking that just flat out suck, and I think it's important to be realistic about those things. Backpacking isn't all sunshine and rainbows and gorgeous views and clean pet toilets. A lot of the time, it's just the opposite. My internet friend, Mac, at EnviroMac on Instagram, suggested this as a video, and as soon as I heard it, I was inspired. There are so many things about backpacking that suck, and over the years, I've encountered quite a few of them. In fact, there are so many things that suck about backpacking that I realized this needed to be a series because I couldn't fit it all into one video. So stay tuned and subscribe so you don't miss the suck fest. My goal for the series is to commiserate with fellow backpackers about all the shitty parts of backpacking, prep newcomers for the things that might make them want to quit, and share some insights on what has kept me going on some of my absolute worst days on trail. One of the most common responses to this was how much filtering water sucks. And I honestly have to agree. Once you've been doing it for a while, it gets really old really fast. I can remember quite a few days where on the CDT, I would turn to Josh and I'd be like, I just don't want to filter right now. In the United States, we sacrifice the conveniences of clean running water for beautiful vistas in the backcountry. And while I think that mindset shift of realizing we are lucky to typically have clean water is helpful, it doesn't always make filtering water suck any less. So if that isn't super convincing, these are some of the other things that have helped me over the years. 1, taking good care of my filter. I try to backflush in every single town, and even better if I backflush in between towns. And avoiding murky, disgusting water sources will also help a lot with this. Sleeping with my filter every night if temperatures are going to get low so that it doesn't freeze. The only thing that is more demoralizing than filtering your water all the time is filtering your water unsure if it's actually doing anything because you're pretty sure your water filter froze 2 nights ago. Use aqua tabs. This video isn't even sponsored, but I've been talking about them a lot lately. And if you're truly dead sick of filtering, treating your water instead can be a quicker and easier way and kind of just give you a little treat. Ease that mental burden for a couple of liters. The last mile before camp sucks. While most miles are 5,280 feet long, the last mile before camp on a backpacking trip is in fact much, much longer. It defies the laws of physics, but it's true. And anyone who has slogged through a truly miserable last mile before camp, I think can vouch for me. The best methods that I've come up for dealing with the last mile before camp blues are: 1, listen to your favorite music or podcast. I like to reserve an emergency playlist especially for this situation, so it's not songs that I get tired of, it's songs that I'm really excited to hear and haven't maybe in a while. 2, ban yourself from checking your mileage. This is difficult, and motivation for self-discipline at times like these is not always high, but it is essential. The more you check, the longer the mile gets. I promise it's just not worth it. 3, find a buddy. If there are people around, ask someone to share in the misery with you. Chances are they are dealing with it too, and they won't mind having some company for the last 20 to 30 minutes before they get to camp. Not being able to sleep while backpacking sucks. Sleeping while backpacking is harder for some people than others and harder on certain days than others. Not getting enough good sleep is objectively very sucky and can make for a miserable trip. But some ways that I have found to help with sleep while backpacking are: 1, having a dialed in sleep system that's comfortable to me. I've upgraded from a foam pad to a blow pad for this exact reason. 2, hiking more will usually wear me out more and lead to better sleep. 3, listening to white noise or some kind of music that I can actually fall asleep to, so it can help kind of drown out the noises that might make you anxious and keep you up. Just make sure it's not drowning out too much for your safety reasons. I like to pack melatonin or Benadryl to help push me over the edge into sleepiness when I'm feeling kind of desperate. And I'm not afraid to take an afternoon nap from time to time if that's all that I can do. I did do a video about solo backpacking that goes a little bit more in depth on tricks to help you fall asleep, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. Bugs, particularly any bugs that bite while backpacking, suck. I'm talking flies, mosquitoes, ticks, all of the above. Mosquitoes are definitely the ones that I have the most experience with, and those bloodsuckers will make you question all of your life choices. If you hit a marshy area at the right time of day during peak snowmelt, you might never want to go backpacking again. And I get it. It sucks. Here's what I do to not make bugs not suck, because I don't think that's possible, but to make them suck less. First, I treat my clothes with permethrin. This is practically a requirement for me in the summers in Colorado, and it does make a difference, and it deters ticks too. I always carry bug spray and apply it liberally. I like to carry picaridin because it's less toxic and won't melt my gear the way DEET does. I carry a bug head net. One I have is less than an ounce and it keeps bugs from flying in my face, which is definitely like the suckiest part of hiking through buggy areas. I put on rain gear if I am that desperate. It's a great defense against bugs, and usually they're getting really bad like at dusk, so it's a little bit cooler and you can kind of bear hiking in rain pants still. I camp away from the homes of bugs. I try to avoid marshy areas and maybe look for a little bit of wind flow through my campsite. If you've checked local fire restrictions and you can start a fire in the area you're in, that's also great to keep bugs away. Being filthy and not being able to shower sucks. Being a disgusting, filthy human being is the price we pay for uninterrupted days in the backcountry. And while that price is fairly low to some, it's higher for others. And after days at a time, it can really start to suck. I've personally gone long enough without showers on backpacking trips to get this prickly feeling on my back that I think is from the sweat in my pack, and I hope that's not just me that experiences that, but that really sucks. Being disgusting for days at a time and the smell that comes with that is not fun, but there are ways I have learned to mitigate and deal with it over the years. First, I always bring baby wipes. They are a godsend and I rarely go on a trip without them. I pack enough so that I can use them to go to the bathroom, but also give myself a little baby wipe bath at the end of every day. Creek baths and creek laundry, sometimes a good rinse can be a life-changing experience, but just make sure you're following L&T principles. Soap, maybe. I don't personally use soap, but if you're finding it especially hard to deal, you can always pack out some soap and a little eyedropper and do a more proper backcountry shower and laundry. Just remember that you have to take even biodegradable soap at least 200 feet away from water sources, because even biodegradable soap can disrupt those fragile backcountry ecosystems. Hand sanitizer. Keeping your hands clean can be a huge lift off the mental energy you're feeling when you just feel absolutely disgusting. I like to try and rinse my hand in creeks and then afterwards put hand sanitizer on them to just feel a little bit cleaner. Backpacking food usually objectively sucks. It should tell you something that freeze-dried meals are basically a luxury for thru hikers. We usually subsist on things like ramen bombs, which is literally a concoction of deep fried noodles in instant mashed potatoes. And you can really only eat so many bars. While backpacking food is far from the luxuries we can obtain in town or the food that we can cook for ourselves at home, there are a few ways that you can make backpacking food suck a little less. I like to pack out spices. They're super light and can add some much needed zest to a bag of tired nor pasta sides. I personally like to pack out chili flakes. I also like to pack out fresh vegetables. Many things will last for at least a day or two out of town. Packing a bag of spinach, some baby carrots, or even a fresh apple can be a big game changer. Just having some fresh food can add some much needed nutrients to a very drab food bag. I like to try new things while backpacking. I'll try and kind of ask my thru hiking friends at the grocery store or backpacking friends what it is they're packing for their meals. And sometimes I feel inspired by some of the things they're bringing because it's something I haven't had before and it sounds good. Try and look around and try and change it up from what you usually pack out. I love packing out town leftovers. Packed out pizza and sub sandwiches are basically 5-star meals on backpacking trips. And you can do this on weekend trips too. Finally, you could try dehydrating your own food. I haven't done this personally, but I think dehydrating your own food could help you concoct things that maybe taste a little bit better to you, that have a little bit more nutrients than the stuff that we buy at the store, and could add a little bit more variety to your backpacking diet. In the next installment of this series, I'm going to talk about how much the weather can suck while backpacking. And there will be much more completing with a positive spin after that. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. But also like to end on a positive note that has helped me through many sucky moments while backpacking. I heard this on a backpacker radio podcast from Quadzilla. He talked about a quote that I believe he learned while on a meditation retreat, and that was, "Everything is temporary." I have found myself returning to that quote in many, many sucky moments. Long climbs and cold mornings and shitty hot afternoons, I remind myself, this is just temporary. And it really does help. Sometimes the idea that this simply won't last forever is enough to get you through. If you have any additional tips or questions, or just want to talk about how much backpacking sucks in the comments, please do. Thanks for watching. Bye.